Just got finished with my round today, and the foursome in front of me was so slow. Meow. But then I got up to the tee box and found one of their tees, and it all made sense. Who's using tees like this on the course? Compensating for something? Let's do it right meow. Thank you very much for tuning into my YouTube channel. My name is Kenny. Some of you may know me as Kennie Kat. I am a competitive golfer, and this channel is dedicated to my journey on what it takes to become a better competitive golfer. I've decided that I want to try to do 2 videos a week. I can't promise that I'm always going to have 2 videos a week, but as the channel starts to grow and I get more subscribers, I want to make sure I'm giving you guys enough content and also sharing as many ideas as possible. Last month, I did a product review on the Gravity T-Fit Pro, and in that review said I would give you guys a weekly update or a 1-month update on how it's been working. I have to say that this is something that you definitely need to buy if you have not already purchased. I'll put a link in the description below. This thing is really good. I've been using this for about, I want to say 30 minutes or so every single day. I take it to the course sometimes to do chipping, but mostly I just work inside my little practice area right here. And I like to do a lot of mirror work and a lot of just, drills with my practice 7-iron club that I keep inside of my house or my bedroom. Fun fact, I actually purchased an additional 7-iron with my iron set just so I'd have another club to work on. I use that as my indoor club when I'm doing just mirror work. 10, 15, 30 minutes a day with this bad boy, and you are going to see some improvements in your posture and your strike and your golf mechanics in a couple of months. I also wanted to do an update on my 4 rules that I've implemented in order to make myself a better golfer or a better scorer. I'll send a link to that video if you haven't seen that. So my first rule was let go of the tee box ego. I've since updated that rule to basically say, look at the course beforehand, choose the clubs that best fit my current dispersion off the tee box. If there's room to hit driver, hit driver. If there's not room to hit driver, hit a 3-wood or hit a 4-iron. Second rule is get rid of my rangefinder. I only aim at the center of greens and I use the center and the back yardage in order to hit my approach shots. Third rule was wedges, wedges, wedges. Work on that short game. Stop doing so much complicated chipping around the greens. Bump and run wherever necessary. And make sure that we're choosing safe statistical shots in order to get me as close as possible to the hole. And then the number 4 rule was no doubles, but I've since included that rule to basically say, take the emotions out of what should be a statistical decision. In that video, I talked about how I basically had the same scoring average of 84.6 for the past 10 months, and I've been really struggling to get lower than that. Drum roll, please. Wait for this. My scoring averages went from 84.6 down to a whopping 78.8. Now, I am just as shocked as you are to see that. I expected putting these rules into place would definitely decrease my score, but I had no idea that it was going to decrease by almost 6 strokes. That's 5.74 strokes of difference just by putting in those 4 simple rules. Clearly, scoring better has everything to do with how you manage yourself around the course. Let's jump into what the breakdown is for why those simple decisions have improved my scores so dramatically. If we take a look at my greens and regulation on all approaches, I consider approaches to be inside of 240 yards. That's as far as my 3-wood carries. Anything outside of that is a layup. My green and regulation percentage has increased from 39.4% on all approaches to 47.6%, which is an 8.2% increase overall. And approaches inside of 150 yards has improved from 40% on average to 56.4% of greens in regulation hit inside of 150 yards. That's a 16.4% increase simply by getting rid of my rangefinder and just aiming for the center of greens and using the center yardage. Hitting more greens is going to give you the ability to putt more often, and if you're 2-putting more often, you're going to obviously make more pars and less bogeys. So you may be asking yourself, why do I separate my approaches to greens and regulations by 150 yards? Well, 150 yards is the average distance for me when I'm approaching a green. In fact, 150 yards is actually a really important number to me because that usually means I'm going to have a 9-iron or less. If I look at my rounds from the tees that I play over 18 holes and we take out the par 3s, and the reason I say take out the par 3s is because the length of par 3s is largely going to depend on the course design. I can't really control that. 73.94% of my approaches are 150 yards or less. Basically means that I'm going to have a 9-iron or a wedge in my hand when I'm approaching the green, roughly 75% of the time. If you look at my green in regulations and the proximity to the hole, on average when I hit the green, I'm 26.2 feet from the flag, which is pretty good because the tour average from that same distance is about 25 feet. And that makes a lot of sense. Your best shots are probably going to be as good as a professional tour player. But where I need to improve is my average proximity to the flag on all approaches is 87.4 feet. I'm almost 30 yards away from the flag on average on all of my approaches. I've definitely got to get my dispersion with 9-iron down a lot tighter, and if I can get that tighter, even on average 50 feet, then I'm probably going to put myself in a better position to either make more pars, be in a scoring position for birdie, or easily get up and down. All right, let's jump into my favorite part of the video, which I know is some of your favorite parts of the video, the round recap. I got to play a very lovely Pete Dye course today. It's Red Mountain Country Club out here in Arizona. It's a very challenging course. I had a really good time. Ended up shooting 6 strokes over par, so a final score of 78. And if you know a thing too about Pete Dye, he makes some very difficult courses, and I don't think I had an even lie the entire day. First hole, I knew I was able to hit driver off it because there was enough room, and the tee box was kind of fun because there were a lot of people that were looking at everybody driving. There was a lot of congestion, and I really love getting nervous and that good pressure on the first tee because it kind of reminds me of tournament conditions. Unfortunately, I hit a very soft driver out there and didn't go after it just because reasons, and ended up hitting this like wipey cutty 5-iron that went right and out of bounds, lost into some brush, ended up hitting a chip, getting it within 5 feet of the hole, made bogey after losing the ball, getting off to not the best start. Over the hole 3, hit probably the worst 3-wood shot that I've ever hit, caught it out the heel. Again, I've never blocked or never push cut my 3-wood. My 3-wood typically draws. Ended up getting myself in this little funky sandy lie, play for the layup, which is again, that rule, when we're out of position, take our bogey. And because my wedge game isn't as solid as I would like to, missed the green with the lob wedge in hand to the right, but I was able to get up and down, save bogey. Hole was pretty good from there. Hole 4 was pretty interesting. I knew it was a solid 9-iron to the center of the green. I hit what wasn't all that impressive of a shot, and it came off the face and just started to leak on me, but it had a really good line, and it ended up landing just short of the flag, and it bumped into the flag stick. I thought it was gonna drop, and everyone was just like mouth open because I thought it was in. It ended up bouncing a little bit left of the flag, ended up making the 6-foot for birdie. Hole 7, I hit a pretty average 3-wood into the wind, and ended up hitting my pitching wedge and just left it right of the flag. I was sitting on this little tiny mound, and I got up there, I read it pretty good, felt pretty confident with the chip, hit a nice little 56, it rolled down the hill, and the second it rolled down the hill, I knew it was in, ended up getting the lucky chip in for birdie, and I think at this point I was off to the races. Momentum was moving, and I was feeling in the groove. Hole 10, Pete Dye in typical fashion, loves to have these par 5s back to back to back, and ended up hitting a really good 3-wood, hit a nice little 6-iron that was a good layup, and left myself about 100 yards out from the green. Again, the conversation here of my wedges needing to get a lot better with my approach game. Hit a gap wedge, ended up pulling it left, and left it on the fringe. I hit it down to about 6 feet and just didn't convert the putt coming back. I'm gonna skip forward to 14. 14 I knew was going to be a driver off of the tee. I ended up hitting this huge wipey just push cut. The drive just went so high and it went into this like really bushy area that was like above like a 50-foot hill. Should have just played for a bogey, chipped it right back down the hill and get it in place so that I can just take my bogey. Ended up thinning it into that desert area behind it, lost the ball, had to take a penalty drop, and then ultimately made a double on the hole. And this is just a good reminder of myself that giving up on the hole when you're out of position includes even when you're within 100 yards of the green. 15 was a beautiful par 3. It was this very nicely designed like bulkhead, and like I just loved the way it looked. It didn't really suit my eye, but the hole was absolutely gorgeous. This flag was tucked right, and I had a 7-iron to the center of the green. So I hit a 7-iron and absolutely just smoked it. And ended up coming up short because I think there was just wind up there. I left myself about 8 feet off of the flag. It was just a really tough, like downhill left to right putt. Ended up just leaving it about 2 inches high, almost converted it for the birdie. But this is just a really good reminder to myself of you gotta hit to the center of the green. My playing partner hit an 8-iron to the flag because that was the yardage he read, and he ended up well short. So on average, as long as I stay true to hitting to the center of the greens, leave that rangefinder at home, I'm going to continue to hit more greens in regulation. On to the 18th hole. I knew it was a 3-wood because a driver would bring the water into trouble. Hit myself just a nice little cutty 3-wood, just safe, into the middle of the fairway. Knew I'd have 100 yards into the green. Hit it right over the water at the flag stick, had a 2-putt, and then finished the round. At the end of the day, that was a nice, cool way to make 78. It's a very tough course, but I managed my way through it. I kept my head cool, and even in the beginning of the round where my swing just was not really working with me, I played smart, I played conservative, and I was able to kind of work my way around the course until I got some momentum. It ultimately ended up shooting a score that was pretty darn good for that course and that slope rating. That's my update for the week. As always, thank you very much for watching my video. Deuces, people. Let's keep it moving.